Hey everyone, this is Kyler, aka Jurassic Godzilla fan, and welcome back to another movie review. And like I said before, my first video since October is pretty much here. So I'm gonna be reviewing for my first time on my channel. I'm gonna be reviewing horror films for the month of October. So as a recap, I started reviewing the series of my favorite monster film of all time, one of them. Tremors. I reviewed this film. So once again, this is the DVD and this is the VHS. So now this time in my review, I'm going to be reviewing the sequel, Tremors 2: Aftershocks. And here once again, I have the DVD here, and I got the video cassette right here. And in Tremors 2, it was released of April 9th of 1996, and it wasn't released in theaters, and it was sent direct to video. And so this time it's directed by S.S. Wilson, who was one of the writers of the first Tremors film. And the only two of the original cast members come back. There's Fred Ward and Michael Gross. Fred Ward was Earl Bassett, who was Kevin Bacon's partner in the first film, and Michael Gross, who was Burt Gummer, who was the soldier, you know, and they're the ones that comes back. And then you have other cast members, as Christopher Gartin, who was the new guy who was working with Val. I'm sorry, with Earl. So it takes place sometime after the first film, and then Earl, he's working at his little ranch. He's wrestling with rodeoing ostriches, and then he sees a cab drive up, and Christopher Gardner, he's a cab driver, and he's taking this guy to see Earl, and he's told him that down in Mexico there's this oil field that's been overrun by graboids and workers have been killed. So he told him there was more graboids, and he said no the first time. When Christopher Garden talks to him, he tells him that this is his big second chance. So then he eventually takes the deal, and Earl says yeah. He says yes, and Christopher, who's a guy by the name of Grady, he's been going with them. And in this film, it does have, like, well, the first film has lots more funny lines, like, with Val and Earl, with Val and Earl at the beginning of the film, with the lines about, what Val said to Earl at the beginning. And there's more funny lines here, but they are funny though. But there's just much more funny lines in the first film. And yeah, I'll ask that when he asks Ray, maybe we'll come in handy. And it is, when they're eating you, it'll give me a chance to get away. That's just really. That was another line I thought was really funny. I always keep on saying, when they're eating you, it'll give me a chance to get away. And so they drive in, and also the thing is, Earl teaches Ray to do rock paper scissors. He's like, oh, who gets the last soda? And he's like, what's this? Scissors, rock, paper. 1, 2, 3. He's like, scissors, cuts, paper. I win. So they go to this oil off. It was like I guess it's an oil field office, and then so they made the guy who was in charge there. They said that they got all the stuff that they requested for, like explosives, dynamites, and stuff. And they made another woman who was the geologist over there, played by Helen Shaver. She's been in a couple films I've seen. She was in the original Amityville Horror, and she was the voice, one of the voices in the first Land Before Time film. So, and then they're talking late now. They're talking about her and Earl are talking about how the graboids are, and she says, "Whoever named them graboids?" And Earl mentions, a friend of ours, Walter Chang. He named him. Then they ate him. So the next day they drive out to this big field, and so the plan is to make noise so they use little remote control cars, which I thought was a cool idea. You know, use remote control cars to make the noise and attach some dynamite. And one of them eats it, and Earl was thinking like pressing the remote control thing was like the detonator, but it's like, oh, you know, then it goes and presses it, and then it explodes. Really good explosions of blowing up. And everybody's like, "Whoa, 50 G's, baby!" And Earl gets an umbrella. He gets an umbrella. Then it's like, "Don't!" And Grady's like, "Oh!" And he gets all the guts just drop down everywhere. It's like, I forgot. So they keep exploding graboids one after another and after another. And when they're taking a break of sitting on a rock, and the radio's on the ground, and Earl agrees like, "You left the radio on the ground." Sorry, I forgot. And then when they're sleeping, they hear a coyote howling, and Grady's like, "Man, he better keep quiet." And it's like they hear a graboid snatch the coyote. Earl's like, "Yep." And then the next day they blow up another graboid. Then another graboid pops up and it snags the chain that was at the back of their truck that was like routed to make more of the noise. It snags the chain, and they keep on dragging them back, and they try to like hit the brakes. Nothing works. They're about to go off a cliff, and the graboid stops, and then it turns and go this way. And it goes under a rock, and and chain snaps. And they see on the screen there's like more coming towards them, so they're going to get some help. So that's when Earl calls for Bert, and he's like, you know, it's like laying like on his couch, you know. You see like it has a hole in his sock, and he's like, "I guess you've been laying kind of low, huh?" Laying low? No, negative. I've been real busy, you know. Bay tells him there's more graboids, so he drives all the way out there, and he gets all this bunch of explosives and stuff. So they go out there, and they blow up a couple more. But then Earl and Grady, they see it on the screen that there's a graboid, but it's moving away from them. So they follow it, and they get scared. They drive backwards on this cliff, and the truck is stuck there now. So they go out to see the graboid still there. It's just laying there, not doing anything. So they figure there's something wrong with him. So they're just gonna wait it out till help arrives. So at night they hear it howling. And when they look at it, there's a huge hole inside it. So they can see there's a couple of sacks there, so they know that something came out of it. And that's when you get introduced to the Shriekers. With the Shriekers, they walk on two legs. You know, they have no eyes or hands. But what they do is they see heat. You know, they have these heat sensors that opens up, and that's how they be able to see. So that's how they be able to see heat. You know. Like when they were trying to get help, like one of them says like send a tow truck out, and they see the engine's been torn to pieces, and they find Pedro. He was the guy was with a part of their team. Who only spoke Spanish, and Grady finds his arms up here. Like he tried to climb on, but I guess it was too late. They got him, and only see his arms hanging, his decapitated arms hanging there. So they go to the radio tower. The whole thing's been destroyed. You know, Grady thinks that they're just messing with us on purpose, you know. And they find a car, and they hear a sound, and that's when you first see the Shrieker. Once again, I would say the creature effects in this film, it still looks pretty good, especially for the Shriekers. At times, you know, from time to time, you can tell they CGI'd the Shriekers though. But they look fine though. But most of the time they're practical. Practical as in, you know, handmade models and stuff. So they do use a bit of CGI from time to time, as you probably plainly see when you can tell. But they still look fine. So they kill one and they drive off. And then the next morning, a Shrieker back at their headquarters, it kills another guy named Julio. I thought it was really creepy, you know. Like when you see the Shrieker was like chewing up on his leg, and you see some goops of blood just drop out. You know, I thought that was really creepy and a wee bit disturbing. But you know, I thought that was a good creepy moment. Like see him just holding on, just eating up his leg, you know, and see some blood dripping out of it. But Helen Shaver's character, Kate, but she can't help him, so she hides and she's just hearing him dying out there, you know. But then Earl and Grady, they grab him, they kill it. When they want to get out of there, they see another Shrieker on top of the car, eating the engine, and kill that one. And they said that when Bert comes back, his big trigger's all been chewed up, you know, because he encountered with a whole bunch of Shriekers, and he was asking what's happened here, you know, just what happened. And he says he's out of ammo and stuff. But he captured one of the Shriekers, and they take it in. But when he parked it in the garage, underneath the truck, one of us fell down, and he was eating one of the MREs that he carries, you know, that's like this good quality food and stuff. But then sometime later, when they're analyzing the captured one in the cage, they discover that they only sense heat. You know, like when they use a broom, doesn't see it, but when it sticks out of hand, that's when they see it, because it's heated. So when Greg gives it a couple of piece of MRE, it eats that, and then it just vomits out another one. That's how they're able to reproduce really quickly. You know, they get a certain amount of food, they just multiply it by the numbers. So then eventually they get overrun. So many Shriekers is beating all the MREs. There's like about 20 of them. And when Greg is like, let's go hide in this building, but Katie's like, no. And like, it was like, they all say shit, and then the camera just pushes back, and you see that the whole side of the building's all not finished yet, so only one side is. So I was like, oh shit, and the camera just widens out, and the building was not finished. So in order to hide, excuse me. Sorry about that. So they hide behind doors to prevent them from being seen. And they see one that's blocking their path, and Bird, he uses this big, like a sniper cannon, this big boom, and it just blows right one to pieces. And then he sees it made a hole into a brick wall, and it kept making holes on other stuff they passed by. And of course, it made a hole in the truck they were going to escape in, but they just pretty much messed that up. Then they were going to hide. They see more. Gray hides up atop this oil tower, and Earl and Kate hide in this building, and Burr hides in the claw of a bulldozer, so you can't see him in there. And then Earl gets the idea, you know, to get this heat this piece of cloth in hot water, and they put on this thing where they hang clothes when they hang up clothes, and they see them, and they go after that, and they go up on the oil tower too. And then they argue amongst each other, you know, how this was not properly researched, you know, they should have been fighting graboids instead of these things. So they try to wait it out, but then the Shriekers, they hop on top of each other, you know, stack them on top of each other, trying to get up there. But then Earl gets the girl, you know, makes himself runs and make him seize them, and runs into the garage and shuts the door on them. But he didn't know that there was more food in there, and they're keep on multiplying, and eventually they're gonna break out. But Earl has an idea, you know, to freeze, you know, to cover himself with use fire extinguishers to freeze it, you know, frost them all up, you know, so that the Shriekers don't see him. But Grady wanted to do it, because then he tells him to rock, paper, scissors, and Earl cheats by saying that rock rips through paper, and he goes in, and he's like, wait a minute, paper wraps rock, doesn't it? And he's like, oh damn, you know. But Earl goes in there. There's like more and more of them being multiplied, and he tries to get in the truck to grab a bomb. He sets it up, and he just throws it back in the truck, and just tells him climbs up out of the window they have up there on the roof, and tells him to run. He set a bomb, and the birds are like, you know, no, keep going. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be bigger than that, you know. So they hide it behind this ditch, and the whole headquarters blows up. Everything blows up, and parts fly, you know, and some other debris. And Bird's like, you know what, John O'Grady, some people might be over-prepared, paranoid, maybe even a little crazy, but they never met any pre-Cambrian life forms, did they? And they just said that Gray cells, you know, they kill like over 28 worms, and and they should charge them for all the little shriekers too, you know, for the more to make more money off of them. And they say as they're walking back, there's this big old hole in the field, you know. And like, you know, and Grady says, you know, we have enough to start our own theme park. Grady and Earl's Monster World. He's Earl like, no way. He's like, oh come on, Earl, this could be like your big third chance. And then the movie ends. Well, also, one thing I mentioned at the start of the film, when I mentioned this at the start of the film, it starts off with this oil worker down in Mexico being killed by a grab boy. You know, he's on top of a pipe and he sees one, and he tries to make it to his van, and he tries to walk on top of these barrels, but then the grab boy catches up to him and just swallows him whole. I didn't mention that one. That was the start of it. So yeah. Tremors 2, I always said that this was a great sequel, even though Kevin Bacon didn't come back, you know. But I'm glad that Fred Ward and Michael Gross were able to come back. They still both do a good job together, and I liked Christopher Gartin as Grady. He was funny to watch too. You know, he had some funny lines. And Helen Shivert, she did a good job too. The four of them did a really good job. Even despite Kevin Bacon not coming back in it though, I would like to see him come back though, but maybe he didn't want to though. But Tremors 2, I always thought it was a great sequel, and it was sent direct to video. I think it's one of the best direct to video films there are. You know, most of these direct to DVD films are mostly not that good. But from the 90s, I think it was one of the best direct to video films. And a really great sequel. It is also on my list of my top favorite horror films, along with the first Tremors. The first Tremors is going to be much more higher up on the list, but this is on the list. Tremors 2, I always enjoyed it, and like the first film, it did get a positive reception. As of right now, has a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes, and hold on a second, let me look up something else too. Just give me a second. I'm just looking up. Well, looking what it has on IMDb. Yeah, Tremors 2, Aftershocks. As a 5.7 on IMDb, I think it can go a little bit more higher. I would expect it to be like. I would expect it in the 6s. I don't expect it to be up any higher, like an 8 point or something though. The first film has a 7, like I said, was 7.1 on IMDb, which is great. But this film should not deserve a 5.7 on IMDb. Well, I guess not people don't think it's not as good, you know. But to me, I think it deserves much more higher. At least I would say at least next to the first one on here on IMDb. But as a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm fine with it, but I think it can go a little bit higher too. So I like the funny lines there was funny lines. I would say it's on par with the first one, but the first one has much more funny lines than the first one. The creature effects they still look good, especially the Shriekers. Yeah, there was a little bit digital affected on the Shriekers, but when it's practical effects, they look good. The Graboids, they look as good too, but they always look good in the first film for the Graboids. And I think that's pretty much it. So, well, what else I can say? Tremors 2. I really love the sequel. It's a really great sequel. I think it's one of the best sequels to a horror creature feature film. I think it is. It's definitely worth the time. Like I say, it was released April 9th, 1996, and it's on for 140 minutes. So it's not, but it goes at a very fast pace. It's not boring whatsoever. So it went by very fast. And as I guess what more I can say. Tremors 2, great sequel, love it. Please rate and comment, and if any questions, please leave it on the comments below. So take care, and I'll stay tuned for Tremors 3: Back to Perfection later.